here. It's kind of like a party when we get together, isn't it? We're going to have a short business meeting, and we have a couple of speakers for you. Governor Scott is not here, will not be here. I know we all love Governor Scott, don't we? So Gail Beardmore is our fabulous president of the board. I'm going to turn things over to her so she can facilitate the business meeting.
Yes, so we're just going to do the business part first, and we're going to get all official here. So I'd like to call the meeting to order. It is 5:43.
Yay.
And I don't know if everyone had a chance to read the minutes, but I am looking for someone to say we can approve these minutes. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Is everybody getting this?
Is it Art?
So we have Ron,
Ron makes it.
and we have Art
Okay.
as a second. Okay.
Thank you.
So any discussion on those minutes? Hearing none, shall we approve those minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, all approved. So Carol is going to talk about the financials now.
Yep. Hey everyone, so I know this is really important to you and at the front of your mind, just knowing the financial status of the Chamber of Commerce. We are well, our finances are healthy. I would tell you that currently our total income is $280, and our net income is $27,917. So that's as of year to date. Last year, let's see. Last year, our total revenues were $290, $258. Our net income, that's not right. I wrote down $32,723. We're not-for-profits, so we typically are pretty close to the edge. We ended it on a positive note for $173, just from memory. So that's just a high-level review. I would tell you that our balance sheet shows $75,428 in the bank. Our receivables are good. Our current assets are $77,189. Total assets $94,736. Any questions on the chamber finances? And all of you, just so you know, are a big part of those finances and making them work. We in 2020 we did a really good job of pulling in about $70,000 in grant revenue, just over that. $40,000 was on a regional marketing plan. And we partnered with several towns in the region to accomplish that. We had a team effort. The remaining part of the grant revenue was part of the state's offerings to help businesses. And just like you, the Chamber is a business. And so I guess I would leave that there for the finances. Any questions? So on the back of the agenda, and I guess I'm going to call Gail back out. I think I was going to read this, wasn't I?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why don't you read the slate? We have a slate.
Yeah. So on the back of the agenda is a slate of officers. And so we have Gail Beardmore, Ingalls and Volker. I won't read the associations if that's okay. Tom Gianola, Scott Duffy, Art Randolph, the rest of the board of directors, Nicole Carlson, Bonnie McPherson, Matt Lamb, Stephen Plunkard, Art Randolph, Sarah Sheehan, Garrison Smith, Alyssa Stewart, Holger Stoltz, Dan Tilley, Michael Todd. So the folks that are new to the board are Stephen Plunkard, Holger Stoltz, Dan Tilley, and Michael Todd, representing towns of Weathersfield, Mount Holly, Cavendish, and Ludlow. So we need to take an action step to accept the nominations.
Do I have a motion to accept the slate of nominees?
So Nancy?
Nancy and Ron.
Thank you very much. So for other business, I want to tell you that the magazine new edition is out. We're working on stories. And the way the magazine comes together is really a team effort. Lynn Barrett is the editor. Heidi is the design person. Dwayne Kish does the ad sales. You know Dwayne. Diane and I fill in the blanks, provide input, make sure the magazine's all about you. And so the deadline for ads this time is August 6th. And so if you've not talked to Dwayne, myself, or Diane, please do. Best of Vermont Summer Festival, August 28th and 29th. If it's not on your radar yet, please add it to your email, your calendar, whatever. It's big, it's about all of us, it's about the region. I've talked to some folks, not without some stress, so we're kind of going through a meat grinder, and I think we're on the other side. And meat grinder doesn't sound super positive, does it? But I bet you understand that. And so basically, working on a festival, working on a golf tournament, working on a magazine, working on an annual meeting all at the same time, kind of makes bald spots back here. So we have all of that going on. We also have a golf tournament on September 7th. I think that Diane has a list where she's collecting names, right? Didn't you say that?
The more the merrier.
So September 7th, last year was spectacular. There's a rumor about 2 co-chairs. I won't mention names. Where's Julie? Is Julie here? So I won't mention names, but there's rumors about a couple of co-chairs in March. So we also have at the Weston Playhouse, and this is new this year, and I never, it's not really a policy of mine, but to recognize Diane for the things she pulls together. So Weston Playhouse Chamber Night, 50% off at the Weston Hub, which is their new restaurant, pre-play. If the Iliad is playing, there's a 10% off discount, and so maybe it's a night out. Just think about it. So that's something else and the date is August 5th. Next Thursday, August 5th. I've asked her that 15 times today. And so we have a couple of people we want to recognize. And so I'm going to turn that back over to our board president, who is Gail is lovely, lovely, lovely. So Gail apologizes, and she does. She apologizes. And you know what? In the chamber, we have you on this front of our mind 24/7. We take time off to sleep, kind of, but Gail gives us flexibility to do our job, and I appreciate that very much, and she's very supportive. So let's recognize a couple of people.
Absolutely, and thank you, Carol. I have to say that it's you that's hung this all together. You know, I know it, a lot of people know that, so thank you for everything that you do. And we are recognizing 3 people tonight. We have one member of the year. And this is a big secret, but this member, and I'm gonna just read, before I read the name of the person, I'm gonna read why we selected you as member of the year. And we are thanking you for your chamber membership and board leadership, as well as your support as co-chair of the Best in Vermont Summer Festival and your recognition as the business selected to represent Vermont at the Made in America Day. I didn't even know about that. At the White House. It is by the selection of this chamber that you've been chosen as our Member of the Year, Scott Duffy.
Fair, you know. That's not fair.
Did you know while I was talking?
Oh, well,
There you
the
go.
bit about the White House kind of tipped.
Did that tip you off?
Don't ever think your life is your own. Diane is skulking
on the other
around,
side?
finding out about details and so on.
Okay, come between us, I guess.
Yeah.
Donald is directing. Okay, okay.
Cool hands.
Here.
Oh. Yay! Congratulations! Oh, yes, you do. We didn't think of that, Scott, but geez.
Darn, next year. So, in addition, we have 2 volunteers of the year because they couldn't decide. Usually there's 1, but they couldn't decide. So the first volunteer of the year, I'm going to read this again, and you can think about if you know who it is. Thank you for your chamber membership, as well as your support on the Best in Vermont Summer Festival Committee, and your time and efforts helping the Gathering Spots Picnic Table Project. It is by the selection of this chamber that you've been chosen as our Volunteer of the Year, Holger Stoltz.
Holger, so when you get up here, maybe you could share your technique for standing 7 or 8
It
picnic
still goes like
tables.
We know how this goes now. You have to get in the middle. Okay.
Thank you.
And I have to turn this around.
Okay.
Congratulations.
So, just a little bit of the backstory. So, the Gathering Spot was a project Ludlow did, town of Ludlow did, with picnic tables and adding art. They're called art-infused picnic tables. And so, Holger, what exactly did you do to No, you know what he did? We put out a plea and said we need help, and he showed up with
David did show up.
He showed up with his sander, and then people that are connected to me and required to be part of my work. David was also there, but Holger stayed and sanded 7, 8 picnic tables without stopping, no lunch break. We would have allowed a lunch break, but you know what? Thank you so much, and it's just. I mean, that is just really making a difference, and thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. It was really
Yes, yay.
We have one more, and I'm going to do this the same way. Thank you for your chamber membership, as well as your leadership on the Okemo Valley Transportation Hub Project, and your help on the Best in Vermont Summer Festival Committee. It is by the selection of this chamber that you have been chosen as our Volunteer of the Year, Stephen Plunkard.
Congratulations, Stephen. We love you.
What a surprise.
We love you.
Okay, in the middle. There you go.
So I'm your shortest volunteer.
That's quiet, right?
All right, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. You know, I won this same award about 30 years ago.
It's time. It's time then. So he got the award 30 years ago. So Stephen Plunkard has been my friend for a long time, and sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 words. and that's what Stephen does. He's a landscape architect. He puts things in writing and helps people to see what's possible. Stephen, thank you. Stephen right now is busy at work with our Summer Festival Committee. He is helping to do the layout on the festival, and he's also been working on the transportation hub,
Right.
and that's the looking at the train project here in town.
That's right.
Do you want to say something?
Well, been associated.
It's not good when he sets his picture down before he starts talking, though.
Oh. All right, I'll hold it. You know, I've been associated with Ludlow business since 1978, and it's just been wonderful seeing all of the changes, very positive changes that have taken place. And when I left for a while to work in Canada, and when I got back, I got in touch with Carol right away to get back involved in the community. And I've always felt that Ludlow in the region, I should say, has a tremendous opportunity to grow, and that's why I wanted to be involved. And I really thank you for this award, and wasn't expecting it, but I really appreciate it.
Yay. Is Janine here? Come on up, Janine. So Janine is representing the host, Troy Caruso, Janine Corning. Step right up.
By real trade, I'm a phys ed teacher, so I'm not sure if I really need the microphone.
Oh, it's
but
all good.
I guess I'll use it. Good evening, welcome to Fox Run and Calcutta's. Speaking on behalf of my brother, who couldn't be here tonight, he's has a slight medical thing, nothing to be concerned about. But since we are transplanting from New York, he's down there this evening. His apologies for not being here tonight. So why invest in Okemo Valley? That's one topic that was thrown at me. So we have a 4-season resort destination, right? I think that's pretty common knowledge. We know that. I call it 3-season because this mud and stick season, I'm learning the lingo and what's going on here, right? So I experienced those. There's a growing community here from out-of-state people. I think are staying. I think a little bit of impact of COVID. People came to spend some time, and then they saw some different seasons and things, and they stayed and they bought places. So I'm coming across some of those transplants, as I will call them. Troy says, he told a story once. He says, every time I cross the border, I take a breath and I feel relaxed. So I don't know if any of you have heard any stories or have seen Troy in action, but relax is, I'm not sure if that's in his realm. And so I joke with the pro shop staff. I say, all right, it's a meeting with Troy, put on your armor. And then, and then we're ready to go. So anyways, it's just that sense of Vermont, which is new to us, and it's, might be the norm for many of you here, but it's definitely not for us, and it's very welcoming. Obviously, the spectacular mountain views, the relaxed outdoor lifestyle, and pace. Oh, hi, come on. Hey, oh, I know. It's also comforting to see some familiar faces with the little time I've been, and Jerry, come on in. I know you. You gotta, come on. So we share an office building somewhere in town, right? Things like low crime and truly kind people. As a New Yorker, I've been upstate New York in Syracuse since college for a long time, but I grew up on Long Island, and everybody I talk to, whether it be the person at the electric company, the person to deal with at the state level that I have to get the signs here, right? Just so many. The truck driver who empties our dumpsters. If everybody is so nice and kind, and they want to have a real conversation with you, and that's special here. I think it's special here. So again, another reason to invest and to enjoy Vermont. Obviously, Troy believes the golf course has potential to be a successful business adventure. When I say adventure, I mean adventure. So, phys ed middle school teacher. Before that, I was a college soccer coach. He was in concrete, demolition, construction, finance, and now we're in the golf course and restaurants. So when I say adventure, it's certainly been an adventure. So a good one so far, but tough. As many of you are business owners, and I'm sure you've had your struggles and your successes. He definitely cares about becoming a positive influence in the community. His charity, Assisting Children Today, we had a great event, 180 people here a couple weeks ago, raised a bunch of money. So for families who are struggling with children who have severe illnesses, and we're keeping that local. We had a lot of local support. That was great. Meeting the people, the golf members here that I didn't even know existed, has been a joy. So we've got friends here already who are here even tonight. So it's been great. Charity and I have been paddleboarding. Well, that was last year. Don't have time this year, but last year. So just some good times around here. As for economic development, Fox Run hopes to expand the opportunities provided in this region. We will work to make Fox Run an experience that attracts visitors. We expect to contribute to the growth locally and help unite the many forces in that effort. So that would be this part, right? We're uniting right now and working together cooperatively as businesses, as community members. So it's great to see all of you here in an event like this. Troy's also invested in the Colonial Motel, some other land purchases with lots of ideas floating around, cabins in the woods and things. So hopefully all good stuff, and we'll see what the future brings for those more adventures. I'm going to try to stay in the golf right now, so we'll see about that. Lastly, the golf course and Calcutta partners, its management, employees, the support of our patrons are the factors in aiding the prosperity potential that is here. So I thank all of you for attending. I'd like to recognize Mark Williams for putting on this event and hosting us. And a shout out to our golf professional, Mark Senecal, in the Pro Shop for leading the way in this startup operation. So it's been quite a lifestyle change for me, and it's all good so far. I hear Joan laughing. And I'll be open for questions, but not from George. Boom. All right, thanks for coming.
Thank you. So our featured speaker now is Joan Goldstein, Commissioner of Economic Development, and I've known Joan for a very long time, and I think that she definitely is a friend in Montpelier. We'll have questions afterward for anything. From memory, I think Joan, way back when, was a small business owner. I think she ran the Small Business Development Center. And so she really has kind of been through the steps, the shoes that you wear every day. She's experienced. Come on up, Joan. We appreciate it very much.
Thanks, Carol, and it's a pleasure to be here. First of all, it's a pleasure to be out of the house, okay? The last 16 months have not been easy for anybody, and as we emerge from this pandemic, I'm saying yes to invitations. Carol thought that she was inviting me late to the game, but it's early on in the re-emerging from getting out of the house, getting to more outdoor and gatherings so that I could see what's going on with businesses and with people. I'm also a transplanted New Yorker. I guess you could tell from my accent a little bit. But I moved up to Vermont 16 years ago, and it's just so beautiful. And it's great to be here. This is a beautiful spot, so congratulations, Janine and your family. So Vermont is the safest state. I don't know if many of you saw recently, CNBC just rated us the safest, the healthiest, and also the most inclusive. And we're never rated #1 in CNBC, right? So I was so excited about it. I posted it on LinkedIn. I'm not a big social media, but every so often something like that comes along, I post it, and it got a lot more activity really than anything that's happened. So we're really happy about that. But you know, we worked really hard to achieve this vaccination rate that's happened and has caused this safety. That also caused a lot of out-of-towners to come in and call Vermont home, and so we're very grateful for that. But we understand the sacrifices that were made by everybody, and particularly the business community. I mean, the Agency of Commerce where I work is typically a promotional agency. We have tourism and marketing in our agency. My department is economic development, and we generally we want to retain business and grow business and help you with training of employees. And you know, 16 months ago, we were in the business of shutting businesses down. It was just the most horrific experience, but it also, you know, helped us to drive the feds came in with $1 billion worth of coronavirus relief funds, and we were able to secure, us and tax department, $350 million to go out to businesses. Now, that number, just to give some context, on any given year, my budget is like $10 million. Most of it is, you know, for personnel, and maybe we have $1.5 million to distribute to businesses for training grants. And last year we had hundreds of millions of dollars. On any given year, there was like maybe 20 to 25 grants going out. Last year, thousands. So the magnitude, the order of magnitude is so immense that we're still kind of reeling from it. But on top of that, and we realized it didn't do everything, it didn't accomplish and fill every need for all the businesses out there and the nonprofits. So as a result, during the last session in the legislature, we also advocated for additional funds. And in the middle of the legislative session, ARPA came along, which is the American Rescue Plan Act. And so it's really tough to avoid listing everything, but I don't want to take for granted that you all know about the opportunities out there. So I will be kind of reciting what opportunities are coming down the way. And then I just want to be available for questions here, but also as time goes on, as we develop these programs. One thing that's clear, though, post-pandemic, there are a number of things that have happened that really haven't happened before. We thought the labor shortage was tough before the pandemic, and now we're finding it's excruciating, and there isn't really an easy answer. So this is on our brains. This is front and foremost. The other thing, another development that's happened is there are much more retirements. People reassess their lives with a lot of time home or with family, or unable to travel, unable to go to dinner. So we're dealing with that. We already knew our workforce was pretty older, or I could say that because I'm amongst that group. And so now we're faced with an acute need. But we'd also, the silver lining in all this time was really being able to distill things down to the essence, and what is essential and what do you need to work on. You know, for example, there's been a boom in outdoor activities. I think that's great for a region like your region. You really couldn't keep people away from outdoor activities. It was really the silver lining in this. And the relevancy really came into question. You know, you're not going to spend time on things that are not relevant to you, your family, your business. So here we are, and in this last 21 session, the amount of funds coming to the state is like $2.7 billion. More than half of that is direct appropriations from federal agencies into different state agencies, but there is $1 billion that is discretionary. And the governor put forward his ideas to the legislature. It was about April when that happened, and push and pull and back and forth. But at the end of the day, there's a little over $500 million that was appropriated in the fiscal year 22 budget. And so I'll start right in with the one program that is open right now, which is the $30 million that was appropriated to economic recovery. We call it the Bridge Grant Program. There is money left in that. I know there was a lot of angst over people who already got help. We realized the help last year came in handy, it wasn't enough. People also applied for PPP, but this grant program is open even if you did get that help and you still suffered a loss. We're urging folks to apply. There is money out there, and the program will stay open until somebody tells us to close it or we run out of money, but it is still available. There is a new program that is $10.5 million appropriated for capital investments. Now, again, going back to what I say, the normal thing for our agency was we got like $1.5 million, right? This year, 10 million. We asked for 90 million, and we got 10 million. Okay, this is a little bit of a trial, so if we do well with this program, maybe in '22, the legislature could appropriate a bit more. This program is meant to help with capital investment, any type of physical structure, building, property acquisition, equipment, rehab, any of those types of things. We are designing a program. There are lots of parameters, right? We're still awaiting the final federal rule. We got an interim rule, but as we await it, we are still working toward developing a program. We are utilizing very much the regional network. There are regional development corporations around the state, regional planning commissions. If you have a project that you want to understand whether it fits into that, I urge you could contact them, you could contact me. Just make sure that you're in touch with us. And I'm going to say that again and again, that if you do want to learn about these different programs as they develop, to please sign up for our newsletter on our website, accd.vermont, spelled out, .gov. As we develop them, you'll be getting information. We have brownfields remediation. For those of you who know about undeveloped properties or underutilized properties that are contaminated, again, we typically go to the feds and we get little pieces of money and we piece it together for years and years. This year we were able to get $25 million, and it was a combination of we've done very well as a state. The revenues came in way over forecasts. I mean, we were forecasting like the death knell in March of 2020. So things turned out to be much better as a result of some of the assistance from the feds. So the idea would be to invest in things that we would typically never have the opportunity to do. So brownfields money will be available. The other thing, there's an outdoor recreation grant that's actually open right now through the Department of Forest, Parks, and Recreation for $5 million. It gets a little bit smaller as I go down the list. Before I get into some of the tourism and marketing and some of the community development, there's also water, wastewater, stormwater, those types of grants through A&R. That is about $100 million has been appropriated to that. And efficiency actions and clean energy, about $65 million in total. All of these agencies that are involved in infrastructure, whether that's Agency of Commerce, Agency of Natural Resources, Agency of Transportation, we are all working together to coordinate so that we could optimize this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Typically, people have great ideas. Typically, when you go around the regions, everyone's got a great project, and we're usually lacking in funding. Now, we've got all this funding. Yes, there are strings, it's never really straight through, but we want to make sure that we organize and coordinate so that we could optimize this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and get the outcomes that we truly, really need in all the areas of Vermont. In addition, our little department, will be doing something called technology-based economic development. Like 47 states have programs like this. We never did have one. And it's essentially trying to create businesses or job-creating entities out of innovations, out of inventions. And so the path from an invention to a business is a long one, and it's fraught with risk. And so these little pockets of money are meant to de-risk that early stage. And so we're very excited about this opportunity, and it'll take the form of matching grants with the federal programs. Federal agencies give out small business innovation research grants every year. And again, without having this technology-based economic development, we didn't have a chance to really help urge those along. We didn't even know who they all are because they don't come to the state necessarily. And we think with this pot of money, we'll learn more about these opportunities and nurture them and incubate them. We're also very interested in developing our relationship with our big neighbor to the north, and Canada. We've been very successful in past years in recruiting small businesses from Canada who then grow into larger businesses. We want to create that on a more regular basis, so we have a small pot of money where we could have somebody kind of on site there who could develop those relationships. For those of you who are recruiting folks for your jobs, we are going to have this new relocating employee incentive program. It's a small pot of money, but sometimes it makes a decision for the person who needs to move out of state. It's a very expensive proposition to move. And so we will pay up to $7,500 for that person to come and work in Vermont. Now, historically, when we had this program, it didn't help businesses in the tourism sector, as an example, because it was typically businesses that required higher education levels. That has all changed, and we're about to launch that, so again, stay tuned. But basically, we based it on the 50 short-term occupational outlook by Department of Labor, of which many, many restaurant and tourism type workers are listed in there as being in high demand. So again, to the extent that you could use that, we hope that'll help fill that gap. Tourism and marketing. Our agency has a department dedicated to that marketing, and they got $2 million, and typically they don't get that level of funding at all. So again, this is a result of having this federal largesse. Better Places program, another program within our agency. It's in the Department of Housing and Community Development, and it's $1.5 million. These are small grants, but meaningful grants that could go to communities to help, improve the amenities or improve the look or improve the gathering places in the downtown villages and downtown centers. And then there's hundreds of millions of dollars appropriated for broadband. It's $150 million. It's a combination of everything from construction loans to loans, sort of loan loss reserves for VITA, which is our Economic Development Authority, to lend to some of the community utility districts. These are the small communities that are banding together to actually bring broadband out to their last miles. The housing is a combination of everything from increased shelter capacity and other affordable housing development, but also to homeowner purchase and rehab of houses to enable more capacity. We had a housing crisis before the pandemic, and now it's exacerbated by the demand, which is a good thing, but we're not going to be able to recruit people to the state if we don't have enough housing. So it's all intertwined and interrelated, and hopefully we'll be able to get these together, get the agencies together, and make sure that we're in compliance with the federal rule. There's always that, and then the state legislature also put in additional parameters. So I know it's a list, and I really am sorry that I just blah, blah, blah. But I just wanted folks to understand the enormity of the opportunity that's out there, and we want to hear from you. We want to understand what you're facing. I know that our tourism marketing department will start developing regional marketing grant opportunities, so definitely stay tuned for that. And that's really
Awesome.
all I have, so thanks.
It is, you know what? We just stay up here for a moment because we'll see if people have questions for you. So the information you went over was really good, and I think that for businesses in Okemo Valley, we've just had so much information right through the pandemic. So just reminding us of opportunities is really huge. being here today is really, really huge. Any questions for Joan? Peter?
Yeah, what was the website again to get information about programs?
Yeah, if you go to accd.vermont.gov, we're probably not going to have every single program out there because they're not designed yet, but if you go there and subscribe to the newsletter, there's a newsletter put out by the Department of Economic Development. I would think that's the best way for you to learn about it, because as soon as we get a program launched, an email will go out to that distribution list, in addition to, generally we have press releases and social, and we'll do everything, but just so that you get the direct information as soon as it's ready, that's what I would recommend. Thanks.
Other questions? Right here.
Hi,
Rachel.
Yes, I'm a real estate agent at Engel & Volkers. My biggest question is, are any of these funds available for any type of housing? Because what I see in my industry is a huge lack of housing for people who would do these jobs like you're talking about.
Yes, the Vermont Housing Conservation Board is getting $135 million. 90 million of that is for affordable housing, and the remainder is for providing additional shelters. In addition, there's a rehab program for some houses that are kind of off the market because they're not livable. So yeah, there's significant amounts, and that is before, I understand the infrastructure bill is back on, at least I heard so on the radio, that we'll be getting an infrastructure bill soon if it passes both houses, but we expect that to be to help the process, roads, bridges, and the rest of it, but there will be housing.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Other questions? Anybody else? Well,
Thank
thank you,
you.
my dear. Here's our magazine, Okemo Valley. Well, do we have Joan on the mailing list for that?
Yes.
Oh, okay, should I hold this up?
Yes, how's that? Fabulous.
Thanks.
Thank you,
so
Joan.
much. And-
Excellent. We're really at the end of the agenda. I appreciate Joan being here. Janine talking about this facility, the golf course, and other plants. So it's all good. I would tell you that I look at Okemo Valley magazine, and of course, it goes through our hands, so we love it. But we love it, Okemo Valley has a really important brand, I think. We're very personal, we know one another. The countryside is gorgeous. We have a lot to offer. Anyway, I won't blather on, except to say thank you for being here. If you ever need anything, or a phone call, or just come and knock on the door. Yes, Gail?
Carol, you might tell me to be quiet, but do we want to talk at all about, just to let people know, about the hub project?
So just, and Stephen probably is a good person to talk about that. So we have, Miss Joan Goldstein, this is not one of those planted questions, honestly. So we have wrestled a little bit with the idea of a project related to just having a train stop. So on a basic level, it's about adding a train stop to Ludlow. So right now there's a train station in Chester, and Nicole Carlson, whose family owns and operates Vermont Rail Systems, manages the train passenger service. And so there's that aspect. We know that through foliage, those train cars, one time I was at a railroad crossing and I sat in my car and counted 8 cars, people just hanging out the windows everywhere, and just to know that they ride by Ludlow, it just rubs me the wrong way, I gotta tell you. So I think that's an opportunity we've done some work on. Certainly, Mr. Stephen Plunkard could fill you in as well. What we also know about Ludlow, the area and the region, is that transportation for rural communities like ours is a problem. People come here from parts New York, Boston, Hartford. They come here in their cars primarily, but what if they didn't have to? What if some percentage, make it a low percentage, say 8%, that we could make a space where they could come here not with their cars and they wouldn't be stranded? What if we were better and more efficient at moving people around in a way that meant that they could go to Wethersfield, they could go to Cavendish, they could be in Ludlow, they could have dinner, go to a play, do what they want to do? That's an opportunity. And you know, I'm a numbers cruncher with the best of them, and I would tell you that if we think about a regional economy and add 8% to that, or maybe it's only 3%, that's pretty significant and something we should think about. Do we have an opportunity, you know, as I say, to smooth the path for transportation? I think we do. We know that Amtrak is in Rockingham, at Bellows Falls. It's coming down from Burlington over into Rutland. The idea is to get to parts in New York. So a little bit closer is good. We're talking about a passenger service here in Ludlow, so it's not Amtrak, but it's scheduled scheduled rail service. So that's, you know, it just, in my little brain, in my little way of thinking, it's an opportunity. We can do better, I think. Does that get at what you were talking about, Gail?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that it was a project that we're working on.
Yeah, and so we're working on that. There were some earmark funds, and so right now we are doing some work on assessing locations. Stephen, do you want to say anything? Can I put you on the spot?
Sure.
And Joan, this is not one of those situations. I think you get in a lot of situations where questions are planted, and this is not one of those, but it's an opportunity to tell you about.
She's basically saying if I screw up, it's...
Yes.
Okay, well, the idea was first brought up about, I think it was sometime in January, when there was the idea of a tourist destination train possibly coming to Ludlow. So what we did is we just didn't assume that could happen. We looked at a bunch of different sites in Ludlow, and we're starting to narrow it down to some sites. We also looked at the existing train station, and when we had meetings with the railway, that also depends on bus traffic, we realized that facility, it was last upgraded in 1976 for the bicentennial, and it just wouldn't service the community. So we began looking at other alternative sites. The building, I don't know if you've been up to the building, it's locked up, but it's a beautiful building. And so the idea was, is it possible to reuse the building, to move the building? And the railway has come up with an idea on one of the sites that we're looking at of actually putting the building on a train and moving it further down the track. That's one aspect of the project. But the larger context of this project is transportation. Because, you know, I don't know if you've heard, but within just a few years, you know, Ford, most of their vehicles are going to be electric vehicles. So we don't want to be caught behind the trend with that. And so one of the things we're looking at are alternative kinds of transportation, so we're ahead of the curve. So we're looking at charging stations, we're looking at jitney buses that would connect the entire region together. I mean, we have, Cape Air flying into Rutland. Why can't we connect with Cape Air so we could have passengers flying in to the area? And we have private, one of the best private jet facilities in the state right in Springfield with a 5,000-foot runway. We used to have the folks from Disney landing there all the time years ago. So we thought if there was a way that we could really, transportation-wise, connect all of the resources we have in the community, and Ludlow would become sort of the base camp or the hub for tourists as a tourist destination. And for example, like we have a great rock climbing facility that most of you may not be familiar with, just up the road in Clarendon, called White Rocks. Well, rock climbing is really growing. And what if people could come here, they could pick up their gear, buy things, stay here, and then have an expedition rock climbing. So there's all of these opportunities that we have in the region, and we just want to make Ludlow and the Okemo Valley sort of central to that. And we think transportation, looking ahead, is going to be the key to that.
Thank you. Sure. Thank you. So happy to answer questions. Thank you, Stephen. Sure. And if we were waving a magic wand too, I mean, a shuttle service for the region that would facilitate kind of tastings, restaurant tastings, history tours, thinking of Bill over there. But, we have really significant history connections and assets in the region. There's a lot that we have to offer, and I think if we're able to leverage that a little bit more, that would be a really positive thing. Can I answer any questions for you? No. So I think we're going to. Are we going to adjourn, Madam President?
Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Oh, Art?
Yes.
Second, Ron? Anybody opposed to adjourning the meeting?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Yay. Thank you so much.